Hi villaging friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I've been working on part 5 of building Holiday Hills. Now if you're not familiar with this, I am doing a multi-part series on building my Holiday Hills Christmas village for 2025. Part 5 is adding lighted accessories and some other things. Now as I'm going through my lighted accessories, I found some that I absolutely love and can't wait to use, but they're going to require some work. So let's take a quick look at the Lemax Ice Glazed Tree. I really like this tree. There's a lot going on for it. It's absolutely stunning. It's got the nice ice effect. The problem is the LED is an amber LED. So come join me as I reimagine this for my 2025 Holiday Hills Christmas build. Okay, so let's take a look at our iced glazed tree from Lemax. The first thing we're going to be doing is removing this battery box. Now this is a pretty standard thing. I'm just going to remove the backing, then I'm going to pop out this adapter. Now this one is in place with epoxy instead of hot glue, so I'm going to have to work a little bit harder with my hook pick tool to get that out. But now that it's free, I'll go ahead and remove any excess wires so I can reuse the power jack. Now, when removing excess wires, there's going to be an extra positive and negative wire that will need to be removed. I actually will snip off one of the extra from the battery case altogether off of the DC adapter because it will never be reused. And that would be this one. Just got another wire or two to go before I can get that DC jack freed out. And here we go. Let's go ahead and discard the battery box. As with any fiber optic tree I work on, there's often plenty of space within the base of the tree itself to hide the resistors. So today I'm just going to be cleaning up this DC jack. We're going to desolder everything and put heat shrink on the wires and make sure everything's nice and secure to this DC jack. Alright, now that I've got it all freed up and not taken out, strip these wires back just a little bit. The sheathing that's on these wires, this white sheathing, is actually really thick. So using a razor blade, I was able to just cut a little notch it and split it down a little bit further. And this one had a wire break on me. So now I'm going to be using a lighter because I'm a little concerned about the quality of the wire that I'm using. Normally I strip wires with strippers, however, depending on the age and or brittleness of the wire, I'll use the lighter to strip back the sheathing. I'm making my solder point connections on this DC jack today by feeding the wire through the standoff on the DC jack, folding it back, putting a dab of flux over top, and then making my solder connection. The reason I'm doing it this way is I want these to have a very strong bond to the DC jack. They're going to be basically underneath the building that's hanging off the back side of my village, so there's a possibility these wires could get tugged. If I solder directly to the side of the standoff connection on the DC jack, it is possible I could tug it and break that connection. With these solder connections made, it's time to move on to replacing the LEDs in the tree. And next up is removing the LEDs from the tree. Now, like all Lemax fiber optic trees, with the exception of some of the Christmas ones from the early 2000s, which just had a sticker, all the newer trees have a plastic base. Now you're going to have to pry this off. I use a hook pick tool and I go in where the wire goes into the base. On the Halloween trees, there are a series of 3 pins that hold the base in place, whereas with this one, it is a series of 2. These use identical electronics to the all fiber optic trees that I am aware of made by Lemax, so it's just a little disc circuit board, usually with a resistor and 3 LEDs. There is one exception to this, and it is going to be the shimmering trees, which had the disc, but it was more connection points to accomplish the shimmering effect. But any static tree, this is how they go. I'm going to snip the wires, and I'm going to strip back one of the 2 wires. The wire that I'm stripping is the neutral or negative. The other was the positive that went to where the resistor was at. With all things being equal in this case with white wires, it's important to note what goes where, so that's why I stripped back that one wire so I know going forward. Now, taking a look at our LEDs, these are LEDs that I have pulled from some Halloween lights from Target circa 2016. These are genuinely some of my most favorite LEDs that I like to use both in Halloween and Christmas, because depending on how you use it, you can have a spooky effect or you can have this beautiful shimmering effect. These LEDs are a blue, green, purple, cyan color changing LED. I have not been able to find them anywhere else in the world other than in Target string lights. If you or anyone happens to know where I can find these, please leave a comment in the section below the video. I am always on the hunt for these. All I'm doing with these LEDs is I'm going to be shucking them from their plastic bases that work for the string lights. Then I'm going to take the positive lead and fan it off to the side where I can attach the resistor. Before we get too much further into this, let's take a look at our LED information and calculate for resistance. Let's take a quick look at our LED information. This is a 3 to 3.2 volt, 20 milliamp, 0.25 watt, 5 millimeter color changing LED that is blue, green, cyan, and purple in color. Now, let's calculate for resistance using a Lemax original 4.5 volt power source. With a 3 volt LED, that leaves me 1.5 volts to accommodate for. 1.5 volts divided by 0.02 amps is 75 ohms. I'll be using a 0.25 watt 100 ohm resistor plus or minus 5% per LED for this project. Because the base of this fiber optic tree is so large, I'm going to be wiring this one slightly differently than I normally do. So I'm going to be putting in my resistor on the anode, or the positive side of the LED, and then I'm going to be doing a small pigtail wire that'll run for the negative side. Now these LEDs, because they were harvested from essentially Halloween or Christmas lights, the anode and cathode are often quite short compared to something you would buy off the shelf. So you have to accommodate that when working with this. Now, considering these are also 9 years old, they are a little bit brittle. Don't be surprised if the anode or cathode breaks off at an unexpected place. Moving along, I've gone ahead and gotten most of the LEDs together. Now I'm just going to add the last bit of heat shrink to this, and this is going to be for the positive side. This is going to cover the resistor and the solder point connection made to the anode on the LED itself. Meanwhile, the negative side has the pigtail, which I used red wiring for this. Now, if you were concerned that I used wiring with a red jacket, it doesn't actually matter. Ask any AC tech about wiring for color codes to a thermostat, and you'll discover it's actually just, whatever you feel like using. There are standards when it comes to AC wiring, but DC wiring, tomato, tomato, do what you want to do. But basically, the color of the jacket on the wire makes no difference whatsoever. Now here comes the fun part. I'm going to be using a little bit of low temp hot glue to place the first LED into the bottom of the tree. Now the top of the LED, or the dome of the LED, is going to be right up against the fiber optics. I'm kind of angling these LEDs towards the center of the tree for maximum light output. So it's just a dab, place the LED in, and allow the glue to set for a moment or two. Now also keep in mind too, you can see how I have the wires, or the pigtails coming out, and all of the resistors. Now I'm twisting all the resistors together. Those are going to be soldered with a positive lead from the DC jack. And for the negatives, I've trimmed them all to the same length. I'm going to strip them back. Now the wire jacket I'm using here is very easy to strip off with your fingernail. Now as you recall, previously when I was removing the LEDs, the original LEDs from the tree, I stripped back one of the wires. That is going to be for the positive side. So I'm going to go ahead and place a bit of heat shrink down that white wire, connect my pigtail up to this, make my solder connection, and slide the jacket, or the heat shrink back on up. Use my lighter to secure that in place. Doesn't take much. And last but not least, we're going to go ahead and connect the positive lead of this circuit. I want to slide a piece of heat shrink down the wire, then I want to try stripping that wire with my fingernail, which didn't go so well. So instead I'm going to use a lighter. Again, I could use wire strippers, but because I've already had one break on me earlier, I'm going to play a little safe than sorry. Once this connection is made, I'm going to make sure I have a little bit of flux on my solder points, as always. A little bit of solder. I'm so happy to finally almost be rid of that solder. And Perfect, that's good to go. Trim off the excess, which there will be plenty, and just slide the heat shrink over. Now everything's nice, it's secure, I don't have to worry about any shorts on the inside of this. The last bit of it is just simply tucking the wires in. Then I'll be using a little bit of low temp hot glue in 3 places. The first place is where the white wire, comes into the base, and then the other 2 are the standoffs, all of which had glue on it originally that I removed when I took off the base. So just put that back in. Now the base, it only fits in one way. It is keyed, as it were, as the base is asymmetrical. And that's it. Our tree is completely rewired at this point. So let's just do a quick power on test. It works. Now let's look at the final reveal. I've connected power, now setting these trees in place. I'm going to have 2 of these in front of one of the houses in my Holiday Hills village. So far, they look great. Now let's put the house in its place. Which this whole house is, that's a whole nother video on its own, and we'll get there. Perfect. That is just the look I was going for. So tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this project? What do you think of my LED choices? Is this something that you would have done, or maybe done something differently? I would love to hear from you. And until next time, keep on villaging! Happy holidays, and thanks for watching my Lemax lighted Ice Glazed Tree Reimagine. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Also, check out my 2025 Holiday Hills build. It's a multi-part series going over where these are all used. And until next time, keep on villaging!